If your planning period feels like it disappears before you even touch the one thing you actually needed to do, it might not be a time management problem. It might be a classroom routines problem. Because here's what no one tells you. The routines you run during class don't just help students behave or stay on task. They protect you. They protect your energy, they protect your attention, and they protect your planning period. Because when your class runs smoother, you don't spend the rest of your day recovering from chaos, putting out fires, or doing cleanup you shouldn't have had to do in the first place. So today we're talking about secondary classroom routines that reduce the constant teacher help loop, cut down on cleanup overwhelm, and make the whole day feel lighter without requiring a total overhaul. This is a teacher tips, teacher hacks episode, but not the kind that adds 10 more things to your plate. This is about doing one routine well so you can stop paying for it every day. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. When I moved to a new school in year 4, one of the biggest changes was my classroom setup. Instead of a lab filled with drafting tables like I'd had before, I now had computers in my classroom. And one of the most stressful parts of my day wasn't even the content, it was the constant need. Hands up everywhere, it's not working, where's my file, how do you do that? Where do I go from here? How do I submit it? It's taking forever to load. It's restarting. I can't find the button. And when you're in a room full of computers, it's not like you can just stand at the front and handle it one at a time while everyone waits. You're moving, you're scanning, you're triaging. So I tried something I'd seen online that seemed like a great classroom routine. I used red Solo cups as a help signal. Students would put the cup up if they needed help. I could see the cups across the room. It was supposed to help me quickly know who needed me. And for about 5 minutes, it was fine. And then it became a circus. They started banging the cups like on the top of their monitors or on their towers because apparently they decided if I make it louder, she'll come faster. They would even steal other people's cups to make tall towers, like their question deserved a monument or that their question was way more important than anybody else's. It became distracting, competitive, and honestly more stressful than the hands. Now, these were impatient sophomores, and in hindsight, I probably should have seen this coming, but I didn't, so I scrapped it. And that was an important moment for me because it taught me something I still believe. A routine only works if it reduces your stress. If it adds stress, it's not a routine. It's a problem in a cute costume. So I switched to something that didn't invite noise, didn't invite stealing, and didn't invite drama. I made red, yellow, green flip charts that attached right to the computer monitors. Now, I'd seen this at a teacher's store, but I could not afford a classroom set. So I made them myself during that school year. And the labels mattered. Now I can't exactly remember exactly what they said, but the red said something like, I'm stuck, I cannot move forward. Yellow, I have a question, but I can keep working. And green was, I'm good. So instead of a room full of hands and competing cups, I had a room full of quiet signals I could scan in 2 seconds. And the stress level in the room changed, not because students stopped needing help, but because I could respond with intention instead of panic. And here's why that matters for planning. When class is less stressful, you don't spend your planning period in recovery mode. You don't sit down already fried. You don't waste your first 10 minutes staring at your screen because your brain is still in triage. That's the hidden power of classroom routines. They don't just manage students, they manage the teacher's cognitive load. And I saw that same principle again with materials and cleanup. There were times when students would leave calipers, scissors, scales, stuff like that, just scattered everywhere. And if you've ever taught in a space with tools or materials, you know that mess isn't just annoying, it's draining. At first, I tried home-based bins on their tables, like everything goes in the canister, and somehow it still didn't work. I would end up having students work with different students, and so then I would have 3 scales at one desk and no scales at another. Things were still everywhere. So I moved the materials to a student area, drawers where items could be returned. I tried labels, still a problem. And then I changed one thing. I made it so returning an item took less thinking. I used my Cricut to cut vinyl outlines, like the shape of the tool right there where it belonged. And lo and behold, that was the change, because students didn't have to guess. They didn't have to read. They didn't have to decide. They could just match the shape and put it away. And the time I saved wasn't just 5 minutes of cleanup. It was the time I didn't spend being annoyed, the time I didn't spend staying late to reset the room, the time I didn't spend starting the next day behind. This is what routines do. Classroom routines don't just help students. They protect your planning period by reducing repeat questions, clean up chaos, and the mental load you carry into prep. Strategy 1. Choose routines that eliminate repeat questions. If you want a routine that protects your planning period, start here. What are the 3 top things that pull you away from teaching over and over again? Not the rare stuff, the repeat stuff. In the secondary classroom, especially a lab shop or tech space, it might be, where do I find it? Where do I put it? Is this right? What do I do now? Mine isn't working. When you build a routine that answers one of those questions without you, you're not just managing class time, you're buying back your energy. And energy is what makes planning possible. That red, yellow, green system wasn't fancy. It was simple, but it stopped me from being pulled in 10 directions at once. It gave me a quick scan, it gave students a way to keep moving, and it gave me a calmer class period, which meant I wasn't emotionally depleted before I even got to prep. So if you're thinking, okay, but what routine should I pick? Pick the one that interrupts you the most. Strategy 2, build rinse and repeat protocols, not custom solutions. This is a teacher hack I wish more of us heard early. Stop building brand new systems for every class, every unit, every project. Build one protocol and reuse it. The help system is a protocol. The cleanup system is a protocol. The materials return system is a protocol. And the more you can reuse the structure, the less you reinvent the wheel. For example, the red, yellow, green help system works whether students are on a CAD project, a design build, or a documentation task. And I've also seen people who have modified it so it's just sitting on a desk, not involving computers at all. A materials return system works no matter what tool you're using. A where to find it, where to submit it routine works across all assignments. These routines become classroom skills students learn, and once students own them, you don't have to carry them. And I want to point out something important. Routines don't have to be long. They have to be consistent. You don't need a 20-slide training on how to put calipers away. You need a clear location, a simple system, a repetition. In my room, the vinyl outlines did half of the teaching for me. That's the goal. Routines that teach themselves. Strategy 3. Use reclaimed calm to finish one meaningful task. Here's the part that matters for your planning period. When your classroom runs smoother, the temptation is to fill that space with more emails, more tweaking, more, maybe I'll reorganize this. Instead, use the calm you just created to finish one meaningful thing. Because a protected planning period isn't about having a perfect plan. It's about crossing a finish line. So if you install one routine this week, like a help signal system or a cleanup return system, make a deal with yourself. When that routine starts working, I'm going to use the minutes I get back to finish one thing that reduces mental load. That might be grading one set of submissions, writing directions for tomorrow, prepping a rubric or checklist, creating a feedback bank you can reuse. Not everything, one thing. This is how you build work-life balance for a classroom teacher without chasing some unrealistic version of caught up. You finish something, you close the loop, you leave lighter. If routines have felt hard for you in the past, I want to say this gently. It's not because you're bad at classroom management. It's because routines require a weird kind of patience in the beginning. And when you're exhausted, it's tempting to think it would be faster if I just did it myself. But faster isn't always better, because when you do it yourself, you're signing up to do it again tomorrow. Routines are an investment in future you. They're not control, they're care. They're a way of saying, I want this classroom to work for students and I want it to work for me. Here's your next step. Pick one routine that would reduce the most interruptions in your day. Either a help signal routine like red, yellow, green, or a materials return routine like picture labels or outlines, or a cleanup reset routine. Write it down in one sentence. Teach it, practice it. And then, this is the important part, use the calm it creates to finish one meaningful task during your planning period, not 10, one. Because you deserve a classroom that runs smoother and a brain that feels lighter when the bell rings. Your planning period doesn't disappear because you're bad at time management. It disappears because your classroom routines aren't protecting it yet. And that's fixable, one routine at a time. Until next week, take care of yourself and keep building systems that work for you. If today's episode was helpful to you, it could be for others. So make sure you share it with your colleagues and tag me on Instagram at Kristen Masick, KHRISTENMASSIC. Until next week.